to build me another one. I'll get some insulation and a little better heating and cooling. Plan on putting the dust collection system in just like you would with the wiring and the plumbing and everything. That way, I'll have ports at different places that I can just hook a hose into, and maybe run some through the roof like I've got in here, but just a little bit more refined. So I have dust collection too. But that's a dream. We'll see if I get there. We gotta save some pennies.
Well, everybody's got to have dreams.
Oh yeah.
Give you something to work towards.
Well, there's two. This may be a slow night for us.
Yeah, you never know.
3. Okay, we're getting there. We're 5. All right, we're starting to get somewhere now. Did you see the behind the scenes video a while ago?
Yeah, I caught that. Oh.
I had a bunch of people asking me about stuff like that, and I was just out there doing it, and I was like, you know what? I'll just video it and see what it looks like. Palm Springs, California, North Alabama.
Sounds warm.
Yeah, to say Palm Springs is warm, isn't it? Happy New Year. Yeah, everybody, Happy New Year 2023. I got to get used to saying that.
Well, at least it's not like years ago where you'd write checks and for the first month or two you're writing the wrong date on there. Hardly anybody writes checks anymore.
Yeah, I got very few. Only checks I write are business checks, but those very few of those. Most, like all my power bill here at the shack and all that stuff, I've got it set up to where I just go in and hit pay. It comes out of my checking account. So yeah, I've got a checkbook, but I don't use it very often.
Yeah.
Rainy in Tucson. It actually rains in Tucson? Huh. See?
Yep.
Didn't know that.
You get down there in Arizona in the monsoon season, and it's crazy.
Come here. You jealous because your sister got some time and you didn't? Well, you're going to have to sit over here in my lap. All right. Oh, where you at? Nope. These cats. That one doesn't like to be held. Say hi to the chickens. Yeah. I guess you saw my video today. But yeah, I actually had a few people ask for that video, so I was like, whatever, I'll do it. Oh, I was surprised I got an egg because last was it last week when it was so cold? I don't think they came out of the chicken house much. Callie,
yeah, we've got a neighbor just down the street now. The city code here doesn't actually allow you to have chickens in town. They did a trial run, and she has some in her backyard, and I'm kind of like, that doesn't bug me as long as they're not running around in my yard. And they've got a warming light on there, and I see them huddling by it in their little shack and whatnot. So,
yeah,
I don't know that they're being productive up here during this weather.
No, I doubt it, especially the days are so short up there. Oh, we're a little closer to the equator, so the days are a little longer. And chickens, they have like a little clock in their head, and they have to have so many hours of daylight depending on the breed before they'll lay. Some breeds are worse than others. Hello from Beaverton, Oregon. Ashland, Virginia. Winter monsoon. Mark. Is Mark the one that was in Tucson? I didn't know they had monsoons in there. Hello?
Yep. Yeah.
All right. Y'all killing me, cat.
My cats are safely inside, so they won't be making an
appearance. I
appearance.
was missing me. What's up there, Tony? Yeah, I gave up the game in there, guy. I didn't have time. Too much stuff going on. Good evening from Atlanta, big city. That's the South, the Chicago of the South. Look, you got to get out in front of the camera.
Hey, Dave, good to see you here. I missed your stream the other day. For people that don't know, Dave does do a CNC live stream, I believe, on Saturday evenings, but I missed it yesterday. So if you're interested in some good CNC content, although he's also been getting into lasers recently, definitely check out Dave Gatton. Good to see you in here tonight again.
I'll have to look into that. Your entire feed just got blurry. He's talking about mine or both of us, or because I'm not seeing it. I can't see it on my end, guys. So if it's still that way, let me know. I'm gonna try to log in and on my phone here and look at it and see. But if it did, I don't know if there's anything I can do about it. Yeah, not seeing it. Can you see it, Steve? Yeah, Dave. If you want to put
may have kept coming in and out, but
yeah, Dave, if you want to put a link or something down there, or I guess Vintauri may have to do it. Okay, so maybe it was on somebody else's end. Maybe it wasn't on our end. But
yeah, I'll see if I can drop that link.
Yeah, I hadn't got into the CNC world yet. I'd like to, but I'm kind of landlocked right now until I can get a bigger place to keep my stuff. But I'm trying to go through these comments and make sure I don't miss anybody. Love all the projects. Yeah, Tony, you need to do you some woodworking. It's a little more productive. It's a lot less stressful than gaming sometimes. No worries, I'm hard to find. All right, 21, and it's like 5 minutes after. So yeah, anybody got any questions for Steve or myself, or go ahead and fire them up. If not, it's just going to be a long night of us sitting here talking. I do have to leave in the morning, so I can't stay too late tonight. I got to go get packed. Me and Max we've got to go get recertified, make sure he can still find and do the things that he's supposed to find and do. There it goes. There's the link. Well, hello there, Super Duty Jeff. How's that trailer coming? You getting it there? Actually, I can't wait to see that thing when he gets done with it. He sent me a picture, but I wonder if I can. Yeah, I don't know if I can get it up here or not. Burn some of your files today. Cool. Which ones were you doing? Just the jigs? Yeah, Norbert, I'm glad to see you back at it. Weren't you? You were down for a little while, weren't you? All right.
So I don't know if anybody caught the X-Tool live stream they did New Year's Eve. They kind of teased their next machine, which sounds to be like a 40-watt laser coming out. So I had to watch the replay to that. They just kind of, I don't think they sent out much information on it, but they did tease it a little bit. So that may make some people happy or others frustrated if they just bought one.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. A 40-watt, they're going to have to make the frame bigger in order to go 40-watt, because I know the module is going to be twice as big as a 20. And if they don't make the frame bigger, they're shooting themselves in the foot, because you're not going to have the workspace that they have with the 10s and the 20s.
Yeah, I'll be curious to see what how that module looks like, because that's, six. I think they're saying six individual diodes focused together and such. So that's going to be pretty much a beast.
Yeah. There's Doug's got a question with what do you find your average speed to engrave? Well, Doug, I'd have to do some math. For engraving, generally speaking, with wood, depending on the hardness of the wood, oaks and stuff like that, I kind of like to stay around 100 millimeters per second. Softer woods like poplar, some pine, depending on how much heart it has in it, I'll speed up to 110 or 115 for a light engrave. If you're trying to go for a deep engrave, I had to go down to about 80 millimeters per second. It varies a lot, but if you're doing hardwoods such as oak and black walnut and stuff like that, maple you're gonna have to slow way down if you want to get any depth. Maple, hickory, and cherry are really, really hard after they're thoroughly dried. So you just have to play with it, man. I mean, that's the best I can tell you. You got any opinions on that? Or I'll let you take this one, because you've got the 20-watt atom stack.
Yeah, no, I mean, I was really impressed with the 20-watt atom stack. It is loud because of a lot of the fans that are on it, on the module and everything, and they run the whole time. Once you turn it on, it's not like the X tool where it ramps up later. But I think they've got a good frame, and the only thing that bugs me is on most of these machines is the cable management. That is, they're not providing strain relief anywhere other than zip ties, and sometimes the points they give you to, the holes in the frame to loop those two don't do good enough. And then the cables are often just dragging all over. So I don't know that they've done anything better on their 35 watt over their 20. But other than that, yeah, I love my Atom Stack machine. That one probably comes with a little goofy offline window controller, and I don't, I usually just disconnect that from mine and not use it. But other than that, yeah, I really like it.
Yeah. You got any experience with quarter-inch MDF core cherry plywood? Because I haven't ever used it.
So MDF is kind of fickle. It engraves beautifully. It's a nice, consistent, even engrave because of its manufactured nature, but it's got so much glue in it that it's very hit or miss on cutting it. So besides that, if you don't have the right stuff, you're burning formaldehyde. There's some chemicals in there I try to stay away from, and it just smells pretty bad. If you could cut it before, but you're having to get time to get, trying to get it cut now, I mean, I double check your lenses, make sure there's nothing on, if you've got the cap or the cover lens, make sure that's clean, or make sure the other one is clean as well and that they're secure. Otherwise, there could be a variation in the material. They may have, I used to get some really nice, what I would call medium MDF. Now it's more of just hardboard that I'm seeing lately. So I don't know about the core and the plywood where you're getting it. If it's not consistent, that can really throw you off. But yeah, I tend to stay away from MDF stuff, even with my CO2 laser.
Yeah, I don't mess with it.
But it engraves beautifully. It's great for running tests because you get a real fine, even line.
All right. Yeah, Doug, if you're going to be doing a lot of pine, like I said, the more grain it is and the more sap that's in pine. Now, one thing I will tell you about pine is clean your lens regularly, especially if it's like yellow pine. White pine, it's not as bad, but yellow pine has a lot of resin, a lot of sap in it. And when you hit it with that laser, that stuff turns into a vapor and it'll get all over everything. What's the difference? Oh, did you go get that to explain this one?
I'm going to try. So, if you're dealing with a hardwood dealer, let's see if I got a clean edge on this one. So this is some 3mm Baltic birch, and let me see if I can get it to focus on the plies. I don't know that that's going to work. Maybe. You've got a thicker outer layer. It's not such a thin laminate layer, and it's a good quality birch lamination. Now on your Luan plywoods and such, it's going to be more like this. Okay, get it to focus again. You're going to have a thinner outer layer and a real kind of cheap inner core layer that's really thick. And so that's going to be one of the biggest differences, is that in your cabinet grade plywood, you're going to have pretty consistent, even layers of the same type of wood. And rather than a veneer on the outside with a real soft, sometimes it's MDF, sometimes it's just a really light poplar, or poplar's a real popular one, but sometimes it's just a fiber type.
Yeah, I've gotten some like this red stuff that I got my hand on. This stuff was stubborn. Now, I mean, it cut good. It just took a lot of power to cut it. And I'm not sure what's on the outside of this, but it was not what I typically get. So, I mean, if you ever find a good piece of plywood that you like, stick with it. There you go. Yeah, you got.
So this is an example. This is an example of 3/4 inch Baltic birch. And so your 1/8 inch stuff is just going to be 3 layers of this instead of that. But you see, they're all very consistent layers, the same material throughout the material. And that's the big difference, is that you're getting that. And also you're going to have generally fewer, there's a grading to it. And depending on the grade you get, you're going to have fewer pockets, fewer, what they call little football patches and such in them. So. Yeah, Mark, if you're having trouble, you might want to try doing a ramp test, just to double check that the focus is still accurate. That's where you just set your material in at a slight angle and run your laser across it, so it starts deeper than it should be focused and higher than it should be focused, and you'll see where that fine point is. And that's going to be, you're going to want to measure, from the cone or something to get your distance there. That'll tell you if your focus is changed or is still in spec.
Another thing too, Mark, I don't know if it may not be what your problem is, but hold the housing of the machine and reach in there and press against the tip of your air nozzle and see if there's any movement or play where the actual laser diode moves inside the housing, the outer housing. I had an issue with my 20 watt, and what it is on the back side of it, underneath the sticker, there's a little grub screw that holds the laser module in place inside that housing. If that thing backs off and gets loose, what it'll do is it'll let the nozzle, the actual module will drop down, and when it does, you can focus it with that little leg all you want, and it's not going to be properly focused. But what Steve's telling you to do with the ramp test will kind of give that away. But since that's kind of a problem that I know exists, I'd go ahead and just, like I said, hold the outer part and just push on the nozzle just a little and see if you get any movement out of it. What's up, Josh? Yeah. But that's like I said, come on, guys, no questions here. It's gonna be awful boring sitting us here listening to us talk. I gotta keep Steve over there busy. He's trying to figure out another answer already. But yeah, I can't make a 40 watt. I'm gonna have to get me a 40 watt, 36. Well, dude, it's I think it's like 65 in here now. Scissor lift. I haven't tried the scissor lift yet. Yeah, like I said, it could be like Steve said, laser. It could be lens related, it could be focus related, or it could just be the material. Some material it doesn't cut as well as others. Hey, Steve, there's one for you right there, bro.
I see that. I'm just seeing if I can move my camera here a little bit. Right now, my CO2 laser is more of an electronics shelf.
Hey, you need a topper for that guy.
Yeah. So this is a 60 watt generic CO2 laser that I bought off of eBay about 7.5 years ago. And I have a couple videos out about kind of explaining how it works and what it does. I've replaced the tube a couple of times. This is back when you bought a 60 watt and it was really just a 50 watt tube with a 60 watt power supply. So I upgraded to a 60 watt tube. And then I've played a little bit with changing out the air assist to an actual air compressor setup rather than the fish pump. And then, I've swapped out the exhaust fan and then put a CW5000 chiller on it. But other than that, it's your kind of run-of-the-mill Chinese laser. It's worked well for me past 7+ years. I've had to replace switches and, your typical check all the electronic stuff. Don't trust much of the wiring in there as far as plugging other things into it, but it's still kicking, still working.
Yeah, Jeff sent me some pictures of his RV build that he's working on, but he didn't send me the ones of the truck and the trailer. I got to show you guys this. Yeah, he didn't see that one. But give me just a second. I'm gonna be working on this for a minute here. Mention
So
the grading.
James is talking about. Okay, well, yeah. You mentioned the grading system for Fly a few minutes ago. Yeah, so it's a grading system: A, B, C, D, and then it's the double A, double B is talking about your front face and your rear face, and that's going to be the grade of the plywood combined with how many imperfections or patches you're going to see in it. A is going to be kind of your top of the line stuff. So A, double A would be really good faces on both sides, but one is going to be probably zero imperfections. The other one might have some imperfections. B double B is going to be, there's going to be imperfections on both sides, but it's still considered cabinet grade. You get down to C, that's going to be more of what you're going to find in a lot of the big box stores and such. But yeah, there are some charts out there that explain it better. But that's kind of the nickel tour version of it.
I'm trying to catch up on these comments. I got off screen for a minute and I lost a bunch of them. Danny, the rotary with the X2, I don't have the RA2. I think Steve does. I've got the old standard one, but I like it. It works. Rotaries, to be honest with you, other than the Chuck style, I mean, any rotary, as long as it'll turn and you know the proper steps for the rotary, they all basically have the same end result. Some of them limit size of the object that you're doing, which is, if you use a chuck or if you use a longer one, it works better for some things. But the X-Tool one works fine. I don't really like the way that you have to plug it into the board. I think they should have kind of took a page out of O'Toore's book and put a separate connection for that with a switch, because I don't like plugging and unplugging on a board like that. I'm afraid it's going to cause some damage to the board with all that jerking around. There's another one right there. Remove the shield and manage the safety.
So yeah, this can be a thing depending on a number of factors. So if you're running, depending on your laser, some of them they have an air assist cone, and that cone sits like 4 or 5 millimeters above the surface of the material. And depending on what you might be engraving, sometimes you get some buildup on there. And if you have any variation, or if your air assist lifts your material or anything else, or if you're cutting through it and you have maybe not a super tight honeycomb weave and some pieces will drop through and kind of sit cockeyed a little bit, that can come and kick up. So it can happen. If your material's flat and your supporting surface is pretty decent and you're not dropping too many small pieces through, it shouldn't be too big of a deal and shouldn't be too big of a concern. That being said, I haven't run my X-Tool shield in a long time because I have it in my enclosure and it's just easier to maintain. I think that it also has a tendency to possibly trap smoke and debris if you don't have enough airflow pulling it through and out. So it's there as a safety feature because they don't have an enclosure. I strongly recommend people to run with an enclosure no matter what, and still protect your eyes with glasses and or safety shield on the enclosure. But it can cause issues both in the maintenance of the machine and the effect of the air system. So.
Roger. Hey, I'm gonna try to throw this picture up here if it'll let me do it. I don't know if it's going to cover the whole screen or what. Let's see what happens. But there's that's the Jeff's creation that he's done, one of them. But he is building a workshop in the back of a fifth wheel. And one day when I get old and retired, that's gonna be something that I'm gonna be needing. I'm trying to get back to the chat comments now. I've been working on trying to get these pictures. I'll have to do that for the next one. Have to refresh your YouTube feed to keep the picture clear. Jeff, maybe you can try the Facebook. Maybe it's better. I know it looks okay on Facebook because I've got it pulled up and I keep kind of checking on it. And I'm not getting any pop-ups. Typically, this software will let me know if there's a problem. But it seems to be running fine on my end. But if nothing else, it may clear up after once it has a chance to clear up in post or whatever.
Yeah, I was noticing earlier in the holiday week that YouTube was being a little slow. So it could be something on there.
Yeah, didn't you have a video that got stuck in purgatory for a while?
Yeah, I had to re-upload it. So aside from acrylic, what are other advantages of CO2? Glass. You don't need to coat to engrave that either. But a lot of it comes down to speed and abilities. You have you can swap out your lenses to kind of tweak from engraving to cutting to be more effective, and you'll have a longer focal length that might have instead of a finite or a real fine focus point, it'll be a little bit wider, but it'll be deeper. So if you're trying to cut through thicker material, you can swap out to the other cutting lens. But a lot of it just comes down to you've got a lot more optical power coming out of most of them, and so that gives you faster speed when cutting. The disadvantage is they do not have as fine of a point of focus. So if you're into the real fine detail engraving, such as Norton white tile or some of the aluminum cards you see, it's noticeable but not drastic. But if you're really going for the high detail, high pixel count, the diodes really are going to beat it out in the engraving on that.
I do know that you can get it, Mark. I do know that you can get it in 4x8 sheets because there's a business here in town that they do commercial laser cutting, tag, and stuff like that. And that's where I go if I want to buy. Let's say I want to buy a piece of it or whatever, because they buy it 4x8 sheet, and then they have a break that they use to cut it down into smaller pieces. But as far as like online or something like that, you probably have to go to like a specialty store. Steve may know since he does a lot of CNC.
Anytime I've looked for larger sheets online, shipping is a killer. And so, yeah, I've looked, there's a number of plastic manufacturers in the area. Sometimes I might have to drive like an hour away to get with them. And yeah, sometimes they'll cut it down. But there again, generally they're going to want to deal with a larger quantity. So if you're getting it regularly, it's probably worth looking into some plastic dealers in your area that might be able to help you out with that.
Yeah, like I said, I went up there and picked up a couple of sheets. He usually cuts his in like a 24x24, and he'll sell them to me a little over what he pays for them. But he has they have a truck that comes through and delivers it, so he gets a lot better than if I was to try to order it, myself through some online portal or whatever. In Phoenix, now if you're in Phoenix, you should be able to find somebody somewhere. I would imagine that's a pretty good sized place. But anyway, it's kind of slow tonight, guys. Y'all all dragging. So, too many folks got a hangover, or what's going on tonight? It's normally more people, and normally questions are flying a lot faster. So what'd you do for your New Year's Eve, Steve? Same thing I did? Nothing?
Yeah, not a whole lot. I went grocery shopping.
Yeah, I sat in there last night trying to learn the new software. I'm trying to use Adobe Premiere, and I think you're playing with it too. And it has its advantages, but man, I'm having to learn it. Is your exhaust on the bottom centered or to one side? On the vacuum table, the one directly behind me, it's actually the ports are basically right below the frame. I've got 1/2 inch holes drilled, probably about every couple of 3 inches. Hang on. Hang on, guys. Let me swap this over here. Let me put this other little camera up there. All right. So on this enclosure here, if you look, you can see the holes that I've got drilled down through the edge underneath the frame right there. They run all the way from the front to the back. And then I've got another set of them that are under the edge of the honeycomb right here that run back through here. I've got a couple on this side and a couple back there. So when I turn the vacuum on, it pulls from all the way around. like all the way around the device. So they're below my honeycomb. There is about an eighth of an inch or maybe a quarter of an inch gap between my honeycomb and the metal surface below there. But that's how I got that set up. That's right. If you missed the video, this is my handy little go-to cam, or GoPro, I guess you could say. Yeah, see? High-tech redneck right there. I'm talking about the main hole for the shop vac. Oh, well, hang on. I'll show you where the main hole for the shop vac is. Let me get this little guy. It is right there. I don't know if you can see that. It's under the table. It goes up through the table and comes into the bottom of the box. Basically, I went in and took a hole saw and cut a hole in the bottom of the table that comes up into the middle of that void underneath where everything is. And then I just drilled it, put me a couple of screws in there, and then used some HVAC tape to create a seal around where the pipe sticks up through the bottom of the table. That way I didn't have anything coming out the sides or the back. Sent some from the... Yeah, I'll look through those, Jeff. I'm trying to do 5 different things at one time, and I'm going to ruin the feed. Custom light diffuser in place. I don't know what exactly that is. But yeah, somebody was asking about the nozzles earlier. As you can see, I don't have any of the shields on any of my machines, but that's just because personal preference. The shield tends to get in the way a lot. I just keep the door shut and wear my glasses because I have had that little shield catch some stuff. I had trimmed the one on my other machine. I actually trimmed a quarter of an inch off of it, and it worked better. But then I decided if I'm just going to trim it, I might as well take it off all the way. Alexa set up to control my exhaust in there. Yeah, you might need to come up with a different words. On the back side of the machine. Okay, redoing the interlock jig for my Otor LM2 Pro. That's 2. Well, that depends. If you set your machine to return to like the top left corner after it does a burn, and you use that point, create that as a managed position on the move tab in Lightburn. Once you home the machine, you can just go up and select that location and send it, and it'll go to that location, and then have it set to where after each burn, it'll go back to that location. You can actually have the atom stacked, because I do it with my LM3, have it act the same as a X-Tool D1 wheel and stay in that back left corner and get out of the way for you. But it's personal preference, however you want to do it. Questions, guys, questions, comments, concerns? Think about having the separate chambers on each side with 2 exhaust ports. Yeah, I've thought about that. I know Steve, isn't that? I think that's the way his works. Steve might have a little more input on that.
Well, I only have a single exhaust port on mine, but I have multiple openings so I can try to help direct the airflow. And that would be my biggest concern with the exhaust ports being separated, that you don't end up with, 2 channels of air and creating kind of a pocket in the middle that's not pulling as much. So you want to just kind of think about making sure that your wherever your air is getting pulled from, it's kind of opposite and equal to where it's coming in from. So make sure that you get air across your whole enclosure. But yeah, if you wanted to exchange them, like use one way, one the other, that might work really well too. Or, if you've got the space, just put it at the back. So, but yeah, I like having the recessed drop so I can run both the rotaries if I need to. So
yeah, my next enclosure is going to have a permanently mounted laser but the bed, the honeycomb and the bed is going to raise and lower, kind of like some of the bigger CO2 machines do. I've kind of got me a parts list put together and got it figured out how I'm going to build it. I just haven't had a chance to sit down and build the darn thing. I'm not sure who he's talking to there.
Well, he was talking about plastic supply.
Yeah, Super Duty. I did send you the link on the part that I had my eye on for that lift. But like I said, I just hadn't got a chance to do it yet. It's on my list of things to do, but I'm kind of waiting because I'm kind of like Vintauri. These people keep pushing bigger and bigger diode machines. I figure the frames are going to start getting bigger. And as the frames get bigger, I don't want to go and build like my dream enclosure. And then 3 months from now, they come out with a machine that instead of a 24 by 24, it's like a 32 by 32. And then my dream enclosure has to be rebuilt. So I'm gonna hold off for a little while before I do that. There you go, Steve.
Yeah, Eric. Eric was talking about the plastic he was getting. Just be careful if some of it's polycarbonate. That stuff does not cut well at all. It makes a pretty bad mess. So just kind of test some of it and sort through it. But,
yeah. There you go.
I can't afford Yeti bottles.
Yeah. What size is it? You said a 10 watt? What color? Color is very critical when it comes to tumblers. The difference in color can make 20 millimeters per second difference in your speed. And Yetis do tend to have a little bit thicker coating on them than some of the other cheaper ones. So,
and they tend to be really glossy too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or are they matte finish? Because that reflectivity will add to it as well. So,
yeah. It's a tough go. Make sure you've got everything set up exactly right. That way, if you do need to run it darker color and purple, purple's going to be a booger. You're going to have to go slow on purple because purple is, of course, made up with blue. Was it blue? And anyway, it reflects blue, so you're going to want to go slow. I'm going to say 40 to 50 millimeters per second probably on that blue for a Yeti. You don't want to go too slow because then you'll actually mark the stainless underneath the powder coat. But it's going to be tough. It's a gamble if you've never done that type of a tumbler. Sometimes even if it doesn't come out exactly the way you want it to, if it looks okay, your best bet is just to leave it alone and go with it. Try to clean it up best you can. But yeah, the black, I haven't found any black that I can't burn at 70 millimeters per second, 100% output. So if it's black, that would be great. I don't have a Yeti brand. I've got a bunch of tumblers up there that I keep for practice tumblers for checking the calibration on rotaries and such. So apparently the picture is better on Facebook. I don't know what it is with YouTube. It's been being weird. All right, guys, it's slowing way down on us here. So I guess we can just talk. So what are you trying to do? We'll do this. I've seen a lot of other people talking about this. What is your goal, Steve, for 2023? What do you hope to accomplish? And second part, what are you most proud of, or whatever, of 2022? And you can do this however you want to. You can keep your personal life out of it and just do business wise or whichever. Nobody's trying to pry here.
Oh, what am I most proud of? Well, I started this year with a friend asking me about diode lasers. And I had looked at them over the past couple of years, and I had actually had a couple of companies reach out to me saying, "Hey, are you interested in one of these?" And I was like, "Why would I want one of those?" Because those were, the 5 watt and under ones. But when Xtool came out with their 10 watt, my friend was interested in one that really piqued my interest, and that really reignited me doing more here again on YouTube. I'd been making an occasional laser video before that, and years before that was all RC stuff. So this has been good because it's kept me away from, sitting there watching the TV or playing video games, things like that we all, it's easy to come home from work and just kick back in the recliner and be lazy. But so that's been good. Goals for this year. I don't know. I want to keep doing this. I've been trying to be better at being a little more regular with videos, trying to get 1 or 2 out a week. Trying to remember even just some of the smaller stuff is worth it. My problem is, and this goes back even into my RC days when I was writing for a magazine, is they'd always ask for like, we need quick tips. And I would always overthink it because, everybody knows how to do these basic things, but not everybody knows how to do the basic things. And people want to see that. So I always try to remind myself, hey, capture what you're doing, put a quick video out there, because really what my channel is about is sharing what I'm doing and trying to get information out to others so that they can enjoy it too. Whether they're trying to purchase the right laser, whether they're trying to figure out how to use their laser or do a new technique. That's the kind of stuff I try to do, is be informative and encouraging to say, hey, this is what it is, and this is a way to do it. I also try to preface that as, I am not an expert on this. I've got a lot of experience on it, so I'm here to learn as well. And so I appreciate when people put in comments going, hey, did you think, here's another way to do that. So, I'd like to keep that up. I'd like to keep that pace going. It's been mentally healthy for me, and physically healthy because, like I said, I'm not just sitting on the recliner watching Netflix. So
yeah. Well, same thing here, and a lot of these guys that are in here, and some of the guys, like I said, some of the other guys that was in here earlier, I don't know if they've left or not yet, but yeah, I used to spend a lot of time sitting and, playing Call of Duty and that type of stuff, and I worked like 4 jobs on my day job, and so I didn't start doing this until when COVID hit and all my extra work dried up. And to be honest with you, I was just going stir crazy, and I was like, I gotta do something. And so I came out here, and this was actually just a pole barn where my tractor parked and my lawnmower parked. And so, 20, whenever that was, I guess that was like 2020, 2021, something like that. And then I started doing woodworking, playing around, got my sawmill, and the YouTube thing kind of accidentally happened for me. Because I had some guys in some of the groups, just like with the Xtool stuff. I mean, that's how I wound up on YouTube with laser stuff, is I was in a lot of the groups on Facebook, and people were like, hey, I'm having trouble with this. And so just like you said, I would sit there and try to explain it to them, typing it, and they're just like, I'm not getting it. I don't understand. And so I literally, grabbed this little GoPro. This is what I used when I first started my channel. And I was like, okay, well, let me show you. And so I'd make a video, and the only way to send somebody a video was to upload it to YouTube and just send them a link so they could watch it. And that's how I started out doing it. I've actually been doing that type of kind of tutorial stuff. And if Danny and Josh are still in here, I used to do how to set up your PlayStation 2 or your PlayStation 3, putting them in the DMZ, setting the MTUs and all that to try to get the lag down in video games back before the internet was as good as it is now. And so I've actually got a video, and I think you saw it the other day, Steve, from 2012, where I was setting up a PlayStation 3. But, and so I was just still doing that. And then all of a sudden it just, it started growing and started growing. And I'll show you this, guys. I mean, if you, it's been a blessing, and I want to thank everybody that's been a part of it along the way. But check this out. This is my YouTube channel. And as you can see over to the left of your screen, it was on life support. I mean, it had like no pulse until about May, and then it just kind of went from there. And it's continued to grow. And like I said, I owe a lot of that to the guys here. You know, Steve's helped me along because we've kind of worked together and we kind of think tank with each other. And I've learned some stuff from Steve. So made a bunch of new friends, a lot of new friends. I think I'm up to like 7.6 thousand new friends, I guess. And it's been a very humbling and fun experience to try to learn this. I've been doing the same job for 20 something years, and to be quite frankly, guys, if any of you guys have been doing the same job for 20 something years, you know you get a little burned out on it. And this is something new. I enjoy it. I enjoy just sitting around talking to you guys and helping folks with problems. So that's kind of where I'm at as far as it was awesome. I've got some friends. My friend May had lunch with her today after church, and she's helped me along the way and kind of mentored me to try to do this. And my goal now is just to retire and get away from that and concentrate on doing this and doing my woodworking and having fun with that. And so in 2023, I am hoping to continue to grow the channel, to continue to grow my business, continue to expand the shop, and hopefully a couple more years, and this will be what I do. And like I said, hey, I owe it to you guys. A lot of you guys, I know Norbert's been with me for a while. I mean, he was one of the first people that I can remember commenting on some of my videos and stuff. So, and a lot of these guys' names, I'm starting to ring a bell. My friend Bill from up in Tennessee. I mean, there's a lot of guys that I really do appreciate what y'all have done to help me with that. All right, so let's see what some of these other guys say here. Since we know what
I just thought of one other goal. I'll show you here.
Oh, thanks. At least somebody's going to watch my chicken and cat video. So there was a few people that wanted to see it, so I was just like, hey, y'all want to see it? I'll show you. What is this? This?
Yeah, I started these way too long ago, and I said I would get them done. I got 6 of these nice walnut chairs that they need to get done this year.
Okay, so that's on Vintauri's list, guys. So remind him that he needs to work on the chairs. Most proud of. Here we go. There you go. Steve, there's you one right there.
Oh, that's awesome, Eric. I'm glad that you were able to make those and that they were well received. And yeah, you can make those throughout the years with different designs on them. So
I'm trying to check these comments. Yeah. Well, I appreciate the comment, the compliment. Some folks don't think I have a good personality or a good demeanor. Some folks call me ugly names, but I try to be nice. I respect everybody until the point where I can't anymore. Shop cats. Yeah, I was an anti-cat guy for many, many years. And to be honest with you, when I got these, it was more or less just to get my daughter to be quiet about wanting a cat. I didn't figure they would make it. If you saw my video today about the behind the scenes, you saw the 2 dogs that I have, and neither one of them are fans of cats. I started out with 4 cats. One of the cats had to be the one to kind of teach the other ones not to go into the yard. And that left me with 3, but they're all fixed because I don't want 40 cats. Speaking of which, she heard me say the word cat. Facebook videos, Tim Scarborough on Facebook, YouTube. Any suggestions on cameras? Yeah.
honestly, I know a lot of people who have just gotten started with their smartphone. Especially if you have an iPhone, it's got you can use their free version of iMovie right on the iPhone. It doesn't have to be flashy gear and the expensive gear. It's really more about getting some content out there and just dipping your toe in the water with it. A lot of people, they start getting into it and they start getting gear happy. And that's a whole rabbit hole you can go down that both of us are probably guilty of to some degree. But don't feel like you need an expensive camera to do all that. Now, that being said, I know both of us have purchased the Sony ZV-1 this year. And I think we're both pretty happy with that. It's kind of considered a vlogging camera. So it has a lot of good features for, soft background if you want it. It has a wider angle, so if you're talking to it and holding it kind of in a selfie mode, it works well with that. But it's about a $700 camera, so I mean, that's a lot to spend on just getting started. If you have a halfway decent smartphone, the cameras on there are incredible considering what phones and cameras have been in the past 10 years. So, I'd start there.
Yeah, and I will say this too. I don't know, some of y'all may or may not know, but May, my friend, she's at, I think she's her goal is 400,000 subscribers. She's been doing it for over 10 years, and to this day, May, well, I mean, she'll tell you that's her go-to. Now she's got a good iPhone. She doesn't use the cheapest iPhone on the market, but that's like most of what her channel does is with phones. They do it with iPhones. Now, like I said, I like gadgets. I like gear, and I'm a stickler because of my background with technology and stuff like that. And I just like toys. I mean, let's just face it. A camera to me is a toy. It's just a toy that I can kind of justify. And I do want my videos to look. Me and my wife had this conversation earlier. I don't want to look the videos to where you're trying to just pain yourself to watch the videos because they're in such poor resolution. So I want to try to have a good, clear picture, and iPhones do a pretty good job of it. But as I have progressed, I went from using a phone to a GoPro, and I'm going to tell you, these little guys right here, the Hero 8, 9s, and 10s, those are good little go-to cameras. They're a little wide angle sometimes, but those are great little cameras to start out with. If you look at some of my very first videos, I've got my original Hero right here. This is my original GoPro Hero. This was my first YouTube camera. And it takes a SD card, or you can sync it up to your phone. So you don't have to spend a whole lot of money. You got one too, don't you?
My first YouTube camera still used film tapes, and I had to import them into the computer.
No.
Yeah, that is back by some of the early airplane videos. But Eric was asking, and I was just going to bring this up, and then he asked, how important is a wireless mic? And that was one of the things I was going to say. Sound is almost more important than video quality. If your sound isn't good, people will bail. If your sound is good and you have the occasional video, the focus is out a little bit, or, it's not quite as bright, they'll be far more forgiving as long as they can hear and understand it. And so, yes, I have like I said, with my iPhone, I have this little wireless Bluetooth mic, and then there's just this little plug-in adapter that goes on the bottom of it. And I've recorded some full videos just on that, right to the iPhone. And then whether you import that into, an iMac or your PC to do the editing, or do it right on your phone as well. Like I say, if you already have a decent iPhone, this is, I don't remember, $60, $70, plugs right into your phone. It's huge. So yeah, having good audio is really important.
Yeah, I agree. That was one of my biggest complaints, especially if you don't have the camera right in your face. You kind of got to have something. And I mean, like I said, everybody was telling me, go get the Rode, and budget wise, guys, I mean, that little guy right there has served me well. It's got the little dead cats that goes on it. But it served me well. I've ordered a Boya shotgun mic too. It was like $20 that I'm going to use for the computer, so I don't have to wear this guy.
Dave was asking if we use the record only feature of StreamYard. So there's various different streaming softwares. I have played with both OBS and Streamlabs. And yes, I have used those to do some desktop recording. Depending on the computer, I sometimes get some quality issues in various CAD programs. But yeah, I do find that really handy to be able to switch between, like if I want to talk to the camera and then switch back into the program, that does help out. But there's other times I just use other screen capture softwares to help with that. But if it's out here in the shop and such, unless I'm I may be setting up some live streams where I'll do like a laser build or something, and then I'll probably have multiple cameras and use that. Otherwise, if I'm just recording out here in the shop, it's usually just standalone cameras that then I import into whatever editing software I'm using for that.
Yeah, I use the ZV-1 as my primary now, but like I said, if I'm doing close-up shots, I still like my little GoPro on a stick. You can't beat this guy for getting into those places. And like I said, you can control this one with your phone, so you can actually preview the screen and just hit the button to start the camera. That's pretty cool. You could actually go live with the GoPro. I run the audio for
And these
twinsies.
These little tripods are awesome too. So you can attach it to different places.
Yeah, I've got me a boom coming that's going to connect to that pole over there so that I can swing that thing around. But yeah. But this a lot. Virtual camera and OBS for my Zoom group. Yeah, I'm just getting into the streaming cameras. I actually stream and have for several years some of our governmental meetings in town as part of my day job. Now I've got a actual PTZ multiple camera set up with a switchboard and controller, the whole 9 yards there. And I wish I had set up here, but my budget wasn't as good as the city's budget, so I got to stick with what I can afford. There you go, Steve.
Gotta get you that stream deck. How deep do I recommend the drop recess for the RA2? So on my enclosure, you've got about a 4-inch drop. And that is good enough for most things. However, if you get a mug that has a handle, you're then elevating the RA2 and to be able to swing the handle down below it. So I would recommend probably about 6 inches. Will give you far more flexibility. And if you've got the room, I mean, definitely give yourself. I saw a couple people that they had builds where they had different trays that they had their enclosure sitting on a larger work table, and then it was open. And it could go deeper. And so if you've got the space, don't limit yourself. Give yourself a little more flexibility because you can always, block things up. But, same thing on height. When I designed my enclosure originally, I was looking at it. I wanted it to be compact. I wanted it to be able to pull the laser out fairly easily and quickly. But that's put some limitations to it, both in the depth for, rotaries now and then also in cameras. So if you got the space, I'd definitely go a little bit taller and deeper. But I think 6 inches is going to cover you for like 30-ounce tumblers and most mugs. And that's going to be probably your biggest items that you're going to need to deal with.
Yeah, those ones with the handles are a bit of a pain anyway. I've got to get me an RA2. Like I said, I really hadn't had a need for it. Everything I've done so far, I've been able to do with the other ones. There's one of your enclosures.
Yep. Yeah, like I said, I think my default one is right about 4 from the feet, and so yeah, adding a couple inches, making it 6 is probably ideal for most.
Yeah. Well, it's been kind of uneventful tonight. Last call, guys. We've almost made it to 8 o'clock, and unfortunately, I got to go inside and pack a bag and get ready for my trip. I may try to throw something together. It won't be anything to do with lasers because I'm not going to be able to take a laser with me. But I may try to throw something together for those of you that just just want to watch it because you feel sorry for me or whatever. But we'll see how that goes. I know a lot of people are interested in Max and what Max does. So I don't know. We'll see. I may try to throw some of that.
Well, I should have, if I get the final touches done on it, I should have a video out on the SculptFun S30. Now it's just a 5-watt machine, but it has the board that allows the auto air on and off with it. So I should have that video coming out soon, hopefully in the next couple days. And then, like I said, I've got another laser that I've got to do a build on, and I'm thinking about throwing up a live stream for that. So I'll try to put that out there and give some warning on it. If people want to hang out and talk lasers and watch me build a new one, and we'll give it a shot.
Yeah. Aaron Vintauri's got a design that he's built, and then I think I've got one out there too. So it's two different designs, but I've heard there's going to be a couple of hybrids on the market here before long. Yeah, there it is right there. James said he's going to make a Vinclactical mashup. He's going to take your design and my design and kind of squash them together. I'm kind of curious to see what that would look like.
Yeah.
But yeah. When would you want
Mark, as far as when you would not want to run air assist, so on some materials with the engraving, it can have a negative effect on it. It can cause some staining and some splattering or some inconsistent burning. So typically it's going to be on your engravings when you might not want it to run. That being said, a lot of times when I'm engraving things, I want at least a little bit of air running, if not full bore. So it's a nice feature to have. The caveat to that is that it's their own air pump and their own weird hose, so it's kind of hard to add a restrictor to it. I might play around with some different air hose to see if I can do that, but it is nice to have that extra control. So
yeah, I agree. I run my air assist all the time, not necessarily for the engraving, but for the cleaning of the machine. I keep a little bit of air pressure going through there all of the time, because if you don't, the vapors and stuff from that wood will ease up there and creep up against that lens and deposit on the lens. But if you got just a little bit of air pressure, that keeps that positive pressure going through there. It keeps that smoke and stuff pushed back, because you're pulling fresh air in from wherever your pump is and blowing it through that nozzle. And I have found that it helps keep the lenses clean, even if it's, like I said, even if it's just enough to where you can barely hear it hissing. I would rather run a little bit of air and clean up a little bit of char. The only time that I could think of that I would run none, and I don't know that I would ever do this, I'm scared to do it. People have talked about doing the powder coating, where you put the powder in there and heat it up. I'm scared to do that at all, because every laser I've got has got a pretty powerful fan that blows down, and I don't see restricting that fan to try to do powder coating. It just see, the risk doesn't outweigh the benefit, or the benefit doesn't outweigh the risk on my part. But yeah, I appreciate you, everybody, and I hope 2023 is great for everybody. So shout out from Etchin Aaron. Hey there, Aaron. But yeah, like I said, guys, if you got stuff to bring to these, or if you got recommendations, or if you want to see something, myself and Steve, like I said, we're open to whatever. The Q&A stuff seems to be pretty popular most time, because a lot of, especially with the newer guys, and I know there's a lot of what we used to call in the gaming community, we used to call them Christmas noobs, because they get their game on Christmas, and so you could rack up some good XP the next week or two, because you had all these guys that didn't know how to play that were trying. So I know there's going to be a lot of Christmas, new to laser engraving type people asking questions. I've already had quite a few of them already myself. So if y'all come up with anything questions wise or topic wise, like I said, drop us a message, send us a note, or just show up and ask your questions, because if y'all don't ask questions, it's just going to be me and Steve sitting here talking about gear, because y'all know how we are. We both like having our gear. He can say don't be a gear junkie, but that's the pot calling the kettle black over there. I mean, look behind you.
Sometimes your life is just a warning to others, right?
Yeah. But yeah, I'll let you close it out there, Steve.
All right. Yeah. Well, thanks everybody for stopping by. Happy New Year. Hope we all have a great 2023, and hopefully we'll see you back here next week.
All right, guys. Later.